So,
Isn't that the truth?
yeah. So that actually brings me to our returning champ on our panel and today's special guest, Lane Boland.
Thank you,
as I
sir.
said before, he is a wealth manager, and you work for
Edward Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a couple of interview questions with him, and then we're also going to play a new game that we only play with people that we're interviewing. So all of the people who normally are on the panel, you may get your turn one day, you may not. You should have shown up.
Should have shown up. Yeah.
Lane, I guess the first and I guess probably broadest question is, what does a wealth manager do?
Well, that means a lot of things to a lot of people, but what it really comes down to is managing risk on a day-to-day basis.
And what do you mean by risk?
Well, there is no return without taking risk, right? And so the whole purpose of having a professional financial planner, a wealth manager, is to essentially document what your goals are and then invest accordingly the whole idea is to not take more risk than you absolutely have to get to your goals. And what I mean by that is, sure, let's say you have the capacity to put your life savings on black, but should you really?
Yeah. What do you think is the threshold that somebody financially should pass before they even consider dealing with somebody that's in wealth management?
I don't know. I think that's a lot of people have this conception that they need to be wealthy in order to need a financial planner. Yes, added levels of wealth create a much more complex financial problem to solve. But I personally, even before I became a wealth manager, had one from the moment I was 19 and was saving $50 a month. Only because by doing that, it created some accountability.
Okay.
And removed emotions from the decision making. And
Okay.
what I'm getting at is, it's a lot easier for you like when you're talking with a friend about their problems and you see the solution clear as day, but they can't because they're emotionally married to some concept.
Gotcha.
Money's a lot more emotional than a boyfriend or girlfriend.
You got that right. A lot more emotional. Yeah. So I guess in that, people who definitely are, I guess, working class.
Sure.
Should probably have some type of financial advisor.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I'll just go out and state it this way. People always ask me about pricing and whatnot, and there's really two ways to go about it. One is to work with a broker, where you're essentially paying for a transaction, in other words, the investment, which can range anywhere from $7 to 2%. Or you can work with an advisor who will charge a percentage based on total assets involved. And that's kind of like a comprehensive 360 package. Okay. And typically that'll range anywhere from 0.5% for somebody that has a few million to 1.44, 1.5% for somebody that has 10,000. But the thing is, it's just one of those things. You have to shop around, because they're not all created equal. Not everybody specializes in your unique problem set or type. And what also is important is chemistry and understanding. If your advisor, if you get the feeling that they don't understand you, do you really think they're going to make decisions? Empirically, sure, they'll make decisions in your best interest, but will they be able to explain them to you in such a way that you will agree with the plan of action and execute and get the end result?
Gotcha.
Because interesting stat. The market has returned on average 11% for the last over the course of the last 80 years per year. And the average individual investor without any sort of professional management has averaged 3%.
Okay.
So and the reason why is because of emotional decision making.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, you're not going to fall through on some dude's plan if you think he's a dickhead. I mean,
okay.
yeah, that's what it really comes to. Or her, I'm sorry, whatever.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, she, yeah,
he, she.
whatever. But yeah. So.
All right. So at this day and age, or I should say at this time of your life,
Right.
do you consider yourself wealthy?
No, by no means. No, and the reason why is okay. So Social Security, which accounts for about 60% of most people's financial plans, we have enough money in the coffers right now to last 22 years at its current rate of spend.
Okay.
Right, and so one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to move the retirement age to 70. Two things could happen to right the ship, and that is, move the full retirement age to 70 from 66, or I'm sorry, it's 68 and a half now, but whatever. Or the other one is raise the payroll tax by 1%. No Congress in history is going to raise taxes ever. The only way we raise taxes now is to eliminate tax breaks.
Right.
So, I mean, that isn't going to be politically expedient. Any president signs off on that is sentencing his party to 30 years of not getting elected.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, moving the retirement age to 70, I mean, looking at family history, the men in my family average about 72. So, so the reason why I say no, I don't feel wealthy is personally I'm scrambling to find a way to basically render Social Security irrelevant to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And anybody that isn't doing the same, I feel is sticking their head in the sand, and it's going to have a very unpleasant wake up at about 62 years old.
Mm. That's interesting because, my father passed
Right.
Last year, and it really got me to thinking about, his, planning or lack thereof.
Sure.
And, it just seemed to me that there was so much more that could have happened, or
Sure.
so much, so many conversations that just weren't had.
Right.
But I think me being African American, I think in terms of the African American community.
Sure.
But I think that it's just community. Period.
Right.
I think like you said, I think the vast majority of people just kind of figure it'll be all right.
No, it's not.
And then, like I said, when you pass, Lord willing, you had a life insurance policy.
Right.
So I've thought more and more about, like you say, trying to mitigate that, and like I say, and make Social Security irrelevant for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
It goes back to, I guess, definitions. When you ask me, do I feel wealthy? It's how do we define wealthy? Yeah. For me, that is, am I completely unencumbered? Am I free?
Yeah.
And if there's something looming over me that I have to take care of, well, then I'm not free.
Yeah. and that is true.
Therefore, not wealthy.
Yeah, and that is true freedom. Really, it's just you wake up in the morning and you just aren't worried about life.
I believe the term is FU money.
Yeah. And guess what, podcasters? I'm trying to get some of that FU money. That's what I'm trying to get. Yes, I am unabashed. I want some FU money in this life. Because honestly, it's funny. I have conversations with friends who most of my friends and myself were huge hip hop fans.
Right.
So, in the culture, you want your rappers to be like these lyrically, dexterous dudes and females who can just murder dudes with rhymes. What I've come to find is there are very few guys who can just murder you with rhymes who also can make really good records.
Yeah.
As a lot of my friends have gone the way of, I hate rap, it's all, everything out there is garbage, and all I listen to is old school. And I've come to really study the guys who've made a point to make some money at this.
Right.
Because there's got to be a middle ground, right?
Yeah. Kanye, Jay-Z.
I mean, these, no, they aren't, Eminem level lyrically murdering every record.
Right.
But you also don't get that level of talent with that level of
50 Cent.
songwriting ability.
Yeah.
That's a rare bird.
Right.
I really believe that's a rare bird. And for anybody out there who doesn't think that's a rare bird, I think you're fooling yourself.
Indeed.
I think, somebody who's, like battle rap ready, Eminem level ready, lyrically, and can deliver that on a pop smash song.
Right.
Those are few and further between than you want to believe. That's maybe 10 out of 1,000.
Sure.
And most of what you're going to get is like you say, you'll get in fact, the Jay-Z's, Kanye's, 50 Cent's, Snoop Dogg's, Drake's. Those are 10 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
Like you got the dudes who maybe you don't think are lyrically bringing it.
Yeah.
But they kind of really are. But they also know how to make really good pop level records and sell some records.
Well, it's kind of like also you want to take a look at professional athletes.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Beast Mode.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
Richard Sherman.
You're not gonna get a Beast Mode all the time. You're not gonna get a Jordan or a
Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, or a I'm fully blanking on his name. Golden State Warriors.
LeBron James.
Yeah,
Stephen Curry.
LeBron or Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You're just not. Look, every NBA team has
a superstar.
Yeah, has a dozen cats.
Yeah.
And they're all good enough to get to the NBA.
Yeah.
And you still only wind up with one or two superstars on a team.
Right. And even out of those superstars, how many of them have a business head on their shoulders?
Exactly.
Right.
And so,
Unlike,
so to take it back to,
to
kind of wealth management, financial advising, to me, maybe you had a really good job and maybe, all this other stuff, but have you planned for the future, for real? Not, you have 401k,
right.
But have you really planned for the future? And I don't think most people really have. I mean, myself included.
At 33, I think that's too young. I don't even feel fully grown yet.
Yeah.
And the problem is you don't even know what you want to do in retirement until you're within 5 years of doing it.
Eesh.
So I guess what I'm trying to say, you got to ask yourself is, what is money for? Because going back
that's a profound question, actually.
Yeah, because think about going back to those rap guys and athletes, and ask them, what is money for? Well, for the guys that we say have a good business or business mind on their shoulders, money for them is a legacy.
Exactly.
Right? Or for the Floyd Mayweather Juniors, money is a means of getting a kilo of coke and a hooker a night. So what I'm trying.
We're not necessarily fans of Floyd Mayweather Jr. on the podcast.
Right. But so you got to ask yourself, at any age, what is money for? What is it you want to do with your life? Because money is not going to make you any happier. All it's going to do is enable you to accomplish what you set out to accomplish.
Yeah, I always used to hear the money is the root of all evil,
No.
and
Boredom and money is the root of all evil.
Hey, ting 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 ting. I think you hit it. The other thing I used to always hear is money will change you.
No.
And the thing I learned in my life anyway is money doesn't change you. Money amplifies you.
Yep, it just exaggerates.
So if you're a jerk,
Yeah.
but you were broke, so you had to be nice, the jerk just comes out because you don't have to be nice anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have money.
Yeah.
And that's the difference to me. And money doesn't really change. I really don't believe money changes anybody. But I do think whatever's in there, whatever's really there, it amplifies it to a level that maybe,
Yeah, and I guess that's absolutely right. It really will exaggerate whatever is deep inside. And so I like to counsel my clients. There's really 3 different forms of capital, and money is only one. And if you think of the family as a business unit, you got financial capital, which we all know is money.
Right.
You got human capital, which are your family members,
Yeah.
which may or may not be blood related. Anybody you have any sort of affinity to is in your tribe.
True.
And then you have social capital, which is the what other people would call the potential, the human potential of the people in your family.
Gotcha.
And so I tell them, look, money, financial capital, is nothing more than a means of supporting the human capital in terms of life support.
Yeah.
And also to enable them to reach their potential, whether music,
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
I mean, whatever their thing is.
That thing is.
Right. So, acquiring money just for the sake of money, that's not going to accomplish anything, nor are you going to feel any more fulfilled.
Yeah.
My grandfather used to tell me, he's like, you want to screw somebody's life up, give them $200 grand with no strings attached. Watch them detonate.
Watch him.
Boom.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
So
You give it to the wrong person, and that is a ticking time bomb.
yeah. So if you're having trouble struggling with the whole what is money for question, ask yourself, what do I want for my family, and then that will directly answer what is money for.
I remember it was one of those. It was like like how do you become successful,
Right.
Type of things, and I was watching it, and that's exactly basically what they said. They said most people answer what first,
Right.
when really you should answer why first.
Yes.
And that really stuck with me because it's definitely why do you want it, why do you need it, and that will inform the what and the who and the how and
How long?
yeah, and the how long. Yeah. Definitely. Any questions for Lane?
No.
I'm about to say, are we being informative for our podcast listeners out there?
I think so.
Okay, all right. I'm about to say because I don't want to leave this line of questioning without being informative before we get to our new question and answer game.
Hey.
21 questions, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Man.
21 questions.
And I'm sober.
Hey. So this could be interesting. So before we start on 21 questions, anything else you want to say about wealth management or financial planning, or just money, finances in general for people out there?
It's a very uncomfortable subject, and it only gets more uncomfortable the longer you ignore it.
Okay.
That's true.
I hear that. I do think in order for you to, it's kind of like, Oh, what's the movie with Morgan Freeman played God?
Which one?
Which one?
Bruce Almighty is what I'm thinking of. But at the end, when he's given his power to Bruce, and Bruce just gets overwhelmed and just sets up the program to say yes to everything and wrecks the world. But at the end, when they just go and clean, and I think that's kind of the way you have to think about money. It's just you have to just go ahead and just tackle it, and you will be much better on the other side.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. So Lane is going to play our new game, 21 Questions, and question number 1.
All right.
What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Keep it clean, Lane.
Oh, damn. I take the dogs for a run.
Okay. How many dogs you got?
I have 2. One, my wife's dog is a Shih Tzu named Moose.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's a short-haired pointer hunting dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your favorite pair of shoes of all time? You
All
either
time.
owned them
Yes.
or admired them.
Ooh. I have to say my grandfather's ostrich skin boots. You've seen me wear them.
Yeah. I'm about to say, so you have actually literally walked a mile in no shoes.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, for a while it was not comfortable.
Your favorite car of all time?
Oh, that.
It's something you've owned or admired.
I just finished restoring my dad's '68 Stingray that he bought when he got back from Vietnam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a play uncle with my pop's best friend. He had a '68 Stingray.
Yeah.
I always wanted him to let me drive that car. He wouldn't even let me breathe. He wouldn't even let me breathe on it.
Well, that's not cool.
Yeah. If you were stuck on an island and could only play 3 albums,
3 albums.
what would they be?
Let's go with, I'm trying to think this one through.
Yeah, I know. It's actually tougher than you would think. Most people think that they
No.
would be able to jump right in and
No.
have an answer, but
Say the Beatles' Abbey Road. Let's go with just a greatest hits album for Social Distortion, any one of those.
Okay, all right.
And shoot, I have some brain music in there. Never mind. Jay-Z's Black Album.
Okay,
Yeah,
great album.
yeah.
Great. Actually, all those great albums. Why Jay-Z's Black Album? Out of curiosity.
Shoot, makes me think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty complex.
Actually, more complex than people give it credit for.
Yeah, much more complex.
He's actually kind of, to me, what Jay's real talent is double and triple entendre.
Yep.
But,
It's like, what is he really saying
but
here?
yeah, but it's like, it sounds like he's saying nothing,
Yeah.
but really what he just said was super deep. But the way he delivers it just seems like it just rolls off his tongue.
Which is why I love it.
Yeah, so.
Yes, sir.
So what is something that you've always wanted to try, but were too afraid to?
Ooh. If you asked me that question 6 months ago, I would have said marriage.
Okay.
So now I guess fatherhood.
Okay. All right. Conquer one fear, on to the next. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Oh, that's easy. 18 months in Iraq. Not a single soldier under my command. Granted, I've spent 3 tours in Iraq, but fine. We'll just wrap all 3 together. Not a single soldier died under my command, even though plenty of us were wounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is quite an accomplishment.
And I had a wanted poster that what we now know as ISIS back then.
Oh, wow.
Put a wanted poster on my head.
Wow.
Mailed it to my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this the same group you're talking about that
Yeah.
if you listen to last week's podcast, Lane talked about they got a hold of his mom through his a social media account. I'm like, is this the same group?
Same group.
Wow.
Yeah, things went from professional to personal real quick.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Hey, and by the way, thank you for your service.
My pleasure. Thank you for paying your taxes.
What is your favorite place to go on a weekday afternoon?
Weekday.
When you have no plans or no obligations.
Oh, I'd have to say up here in the Pendergast room, hang out with you and Dave and Chris.
Yeah.
Usually the problems of the world get solved by the second drink.
Yeah, usually.
And then I'm in deep shit by the fourth.
Okay. Which is all true, ladies and gentlemen. All true. What drives you to do what you do? What motivates you?
Oh, man. Yeah, this has been a moving target, especially more so over the last few years. It's got to the point where, I mean, prior it was achievement, and then it became, overcoming the challenge, improving something, and now it's really, even though at the age of 33, trying to leave a legacy of positive impact. I mean, beyond just what I can immediately influence.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was actually much deeper than I was expecting from you, Lane.
Yeah.
I'm learning things about you. Which is actually why I developed 21 Questions. If there's a documentary or book that, is there a documentary or book that really changed the way you thought about something? You know what? I'm going to actually go one more. Is there a documentary, book, or album that changed the way that you think about something?
This is a tough question.
Yeah?
Because there's been so many. Yeah.
All right. You remember the first thing that you read or saw or whatever that you...
Yeah. Economic Hitman. It's a book that came out probably around 2008.
Okay. Who's that by? You know?
Honestly, I don't remember at this point.
Okay.
But the whole premise of the book was that world wars were no longer fought with tanks and airplanes, but they were fought by dudes with suitcases full of cash, and how the whole point was to enslave the developing world using the IMF's loans to these developing nations. Because I always wonder as a kid, why is Africa, for being the most resource-rich continent on Earth,
you're right.
Why is it lagging behind?
Right.
And this book kind of answered it for me. It was just like, well, it's pretty clear now. The people with money essentially gave these loans, knowing full well that these developing nations could never possibly repay them.
Possibly pay them back.
And used their natural resources as collateral. So all it was just imperialism by other means.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to get all, damn the man on you, but...
the anonymous female is
John Perkins.
John Perkins
Yes.
is the author of that book.
Yeah.
So for some of you out there in podcast land, and trust me, I know some of you out there in podcast land are going to be interested in that book. What's the name of it again?
The Economic Hitman.
By John Perkins.
Yeah.
They also have Confessions.
That's what I meant. Confessions of the Economic
Well,
Hitman.
they do have one that just says Economic Hitman.
Yeah, it's the same book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you were wondering the same thing Lane was wondering, and trust me, I know a couple of my listeners have wondered that because we've had these conversations in private and in barbershops. Check that book out because I'm going to check it out myself.
Right on.
Let's see. Question 10. So we are almost halfway through the questions.
All right.
What is the worst cheesy pickup line you've ever used
Lord.
or been used on you?
Well, none have
Keep
ever
it
been
clean.
used on me. Why?
Okay, wait. Before you answer this question, I was actually going to, but I wound up with a small panel today, so I was going to wait till I had a larger panel. But I had been thinking about kind of what are the rules of the podcast.
Right.
So here's a good point.
Okay.
To read the rules of the podcast. Normally I wouldn't read them to you, but I think out there in podcast land you'd be interested to know what the rules of the podcast actually are. So first, please RSVP or decline the podcast invitation.
Yes.
It just helps me know who's going to be sitting on my panel. Be respectful to the guests.
Yes.
Be respectful to the host.
Of course.
Be respectful to each other.
All right. That's going to be kind of hard for Chris, but keep going.
Be respectful to the listener, and that is you out there in podcast land.
Yes. All right, so being respectful to the listener, I'll keep this one clean.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, clean is a relative term as long as if you know what you're going to say, which is actually one more rule down. So wait a minute.
All right.
So try not to talk over each other.
Oh, sorry.
Try not to talk over each other. See, just did.
Damn it.
And the reason being is our podcast listeners can't understand what any of us are saying because this is just audio for them right now. Try not to say anything intentionally sexist or homophobic.
It's no flaming.
Try not to.
Right.
And try not to get the podcast canceled. That's kind of the biggest rule. Just try not to get the podcast canceled.
Fair enough.
Okay, so with that said,
Yeah. What
is the worst cheesy pickup line that you've ever used or been used?
If I told you had a nice body, would you hold it against me?
That is pretty cheesy.
Is that really the cheesiest, or is that the cleanest?
That's the cleanest variant.
The cleanest version of what you said?
Sort of.
Okay, all right. We'll go with that then. Who is a character from a TV show or book or movie that you've always kind of resonated with?
General Patton.
No, not
Just
even though he was a hero. No. Fictional or non-fictional?
Either. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
When I wrote the question, I was thinking fictional, but really either. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, as a kid, it was always General Patton. I just loved how crass and bold he was.
And if you've listened to any of the podcasts, or if you ever happen to be in Kansas City and come to the Pendergast Club and get to talk to Lane face to face, you'll understand that, yes, Patton does seem like it would be a hero of his.
But it's since morphed into Clint Eastwood's character in Hang 'em High.
Huh. Okay. All right.
In the opening scene of the movie, he's left for dead, sitting on his horse with a noose around his neck.
Yeah.
And just his unrelenting pursuit of justice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you go and why?
Oh man. Anywhere. It's funny. As an aside, I used to joke during my time rotating in and out of Iraq that the Army needed to, or we need to, go back to tradition and fight wars where we actually want to hang out in. But I'm a huge fan of Central America.
Mm.
Yeah, I love El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala. I'm not so much a fan of Costa Rica. Costa Rica and Panama just feel like an extension of Florida to me.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know. I like that. I like undeveloped places with people that haven't been molested by developed corporatism.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a very diplomatic way of saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I actually do get that.
These are real people, you know?
Yeah. You know, we were watching movie Lucy.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
Have
actually.
you seen it?
No.
And
No, man.
so the kind of the
I
premise
can
of the
picture
movie.
you liking that movie.
Yeah, I can actually see
Yeah.
you really liking Lucy.
If you can deal with Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I like her, but she's the main person in the movie.
That's fine.
Yeah, so the premise of the movie is she starts off, she's dating this guy who kind of tricks her into being a drug mule.
Oh, okay.
So, but the drug that she's muling, they actually put it in her stomach.
Okay.
And so the drug is a synthetic version of a drug that mothers produce at like 6 weeks old for a
Right.
baby, which in the movie they kind of explain is kind of like an atomic bomb for a baby. It gives them like everything that they need to develop their skeletal structure. But really what it is it opens your mind and you use more and more of your brain's capacity.
Right.
At 20% of brain capacity, you find that
Don't
you
tell the
have
whole movie.
I'm not going to tell the whole movie, but it's interesting to know.
I kind of want to see this now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like at 20%, you realize that you have control over your person.
Right.
So so she no longer feels pain.
Right.
By the time you hit 30%, you have control over others and
Just
like,
electronic devices.
But it's not. It's
40%
like
is other people.
It's electrical waves that you'll have, so you can control anything that's flowing through the air. So electricity, like television, phone,
Sure.
stuff like that. By the time you hit 40%, then you have control over other people, and so on and so on and so on. And
Interesting.
it's a really interesting concept, and I don't know how well it did the movies, but it was a really good movie, and I think it'd be something you'd probably be kind of hip to. But but the reason I was going there was at one point in the movie, Morgan Freeman's in it, and
Perfect.
and they talk about you gotta see anything with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
They talk about the thing that makes us human. Most of the time, everything we know gets in the way of what the thing is that really makes us human.
Right.
Because the thing that really makes us human is really primitive.
Right.
It's each cell wants to pass the information to the next cell.
Right.
And each person to the next person. And that's really the function of humanity. Pass your knowledge to the next. And her dilemma is her mind is expanding at such a rate that she knows that her physicality will become obsolete shortly.
Right.
Because there's only two options: reproduce or
Upload to a computer.
Yeah.
Become
Cyborg.
immortal.
Yeah.
Yeah, either become immortal or reproduce, and that's
Yeah,
really the only options.
you have to see the movie because
All
it's.
right. I'm gonna do this.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty. All of that kind of happens pretty quickly.
Sure.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I would say check that out, and that brings us to question 13.
Uh-huh.
If you could only keep 5 possessions, what would they be?
In what kind of scenario, though? Has society collapsed, or is it still going?
You know what? Let's put it in a situation where there has been societal collapse, or let's say maybe there's not societal collapse. Let's just say for some odd reason, all of your financial planning has failed you,
Right.
And now you can only keep 5 things.
Well, the only thing I want to keep is inside between my 2 ears. I don't know. Can I get abstract?
You can.
Work ethic, education.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
No one can keep you down if you have a work ethic and an education.
Yeah, this is absolutely true.
But in an apocalyptic setting, let's see, a Swiss Army knife, a flint for making
Yeah.
fire, and hell, quinine tablets. Yeah.
Were you a Boy Scout?
Yes.
And he was in the military.
And-
Sure,
Okay.
they
A
teach
couple more. Now
survival.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
A bullet mold.
Okay.
All right, because you can make black powder,
Okay.
and you can form a tube that can fire said bullet.
Okay.
And kick it like it's the 14th century.
All right.
There's so many. This would start a whole other discussion, but a book that you could teach somebody to read from,
Huh.
that you could also teach somebody to think from. They're looking for me.
Okay.
What book are you thinking of a specific
I don't
book?
know. I mean, the obvious one would be to say the Bible or the Quran or the Talmud.
Yeah.
I would say Plato's Republic.
Huh. That's
Yes.
interesting. That brings us to question 14.
Yes.
So, what are you most afraid of?
Mediocrity.
Yeah, I had a feeling that might be your answer. I had a feeling that might be your answer. Because it's kind of one of my actually my biggest fear is really kind of a two-pronged fear. One is just mediocrity,
Yes.
but
Yes.
also that mediocrity leading to the point of when you pass away, there's just nobody at your funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's, and I think that fear developed because I saw when my grandfather passed how much love
Right.
there was for him. Like there were people coming from places that I was like, are they related to us?
Yeah.
Do we know them?
Yeah.
Like it was just like I remember looking at the funeral procession and just seeing cars
Wow.
for a mile. Like I was just like, who are these people? And I just remember thinking I want to be remembered like that. Like I don't know who these people even are, but my grandfather has touched their life enough that they want to show him respect. You know, in his passing. So
The Greeks thought that your soul wasn't destroyed until you were forgotten.
that is very profound. And another reason, podcast, is why I'm kind of glad Lane has had no drinks. So, question 15. If you were president, what is the first thing you would do?
Name our current president to the Supreme Court.
Okay. You know what? Constitutional scholar?
Yeah.
Yeah. President of Harvard Law Review? Yeah.
All right, full disclosure, I'm not even registered to vote.
I did
Really?
not know that.
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Yeah, it does.
The thing is, I still have my Army Officer's Commission, even though
Okay. What was your rank when you
I
got
left active duty as a captain.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you really
So
go,
people had to salute you?
yeah,
Oh, Lord.
160 of them. But yeah, but if you look at the founding of our republic, as an Army officer, you execute public policy, right?
Yes.
And as a voter, you execute power over the creation of policy by selecting the people who write it and
Right.
vote on it, right?
Yes.
So if you're executing,
Wait, say that again, because I think our podcast listeners,
right?
and hopefully the podcast, exponentially grows, and I really feel that it will in its viewership and listenership. But I think that's something that people need to hear one more time.
Okay, so the military executes policy,
Yes.
our foreign policy. And as a voter, you exercise power, influence over the creation of that policy by selecting the people that write it and vote on it on a day-to-day basis. And so if you're executing the same policy that you have some form of power and influence over the creation of, that is by very definition the exact opposite of what our Constitution intends as a republic. That is a totalitarian dictator. It's anathema to the intent of the Constitution.
Okay.
And so I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and obey the lawful orders of the officers appointed over me, including the President. There are a lot of officers that seem to forget that. And anyway, what I'm getting at is
I am doing a head nod of yes, this is true.
So what I'm getting at is as I can't speak to everyone in the military, but for the officers, based on the oath that they took, there is no way you can reconcile your oath with the power to vote or with the right to vote.
Okay.
You are to stay out of it and serve the Republic.
Okay. Yeah. That makes good sense.
Anyway, so what I'm getting at is that people, some of our listeners who may be conservative, like, oh, Lane's a limp-wristed liberal or whatever.
Right.
No,
which is not true.
Just completely apolitical. I'm all about common sense. Let's support and let's protect the Constitution. Create a level playing field for everybody to compete.
Yes. Yes. There you go.
Anyway,
yeah. Which is why Lane supports some of my political aspirations
as mayor
and platforms when I run for mayor.
Exactly.
And we won't get into that on this podcast.
Damn. Oh, I was hoping you'd let me go.
I know. Lane was chopping at the bit. He wanted to get into it. So question 16. If you could witness any event of the past, present, or future, what would it be?
Oh, man.
I know. That's a big question.
Past, present, or future? Well, I don't really care about the present because it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're witnessing. So.
Yeah. Man.
Well, to a certain extent.
Not directly for a lot of, but yeah, I get why you want to skip the present.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when Hitler was ordering his generals to invade Soviet Russia. And the reason why is that one decision saved democracy as we know it. Had he kept his neutrality pact with the Soviet Union, he would have easily just beat the tar out of the English, wiped the Jewish people off the face of the earth, and all of Europe from basically eastern Poland to the sea down to North Africa would be Nazi. The Japanese would have been able to fight us in the Pacific to a standstill. It's one of those just seminal defining moments in modern history.
I don't think most people look at it that way, but coming from a military background, I definitely understand why.
But from a political one, I would have liked to have been on the lawn when Martin Luther King had his "I Have a Dream" speech. Probably the best piece of oratory in modern history.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know if I have one event, but that's definitely one of the events that I would personally like to have been there for.
Right.
Okay. I'm about to say, I think we're learning a lot about Lane in this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. What is a skill you'd like to learn, and why?
I would like to learn how to play the piano. I hear that it's one of those things where if you don't learn it as a child, you'll never be good at it.
Never be good at it.
And so I see that as a direct challenge.
Yeah, it's actually funny. It's funny. The anonymous female and I, we were talking about something similar a few days ago, and that came up for both of us.
Yeah.
Learning how to play the piano. As a songwriter, I often wish that I was able to have some of those music lessons.
Yeah.
When I was younger, because one, I would just love to know how to play the piano.
Yeah.
And two, I think it would just make me better at my craft.
Yep.
Which I'm actually really dope at, by the way.
You are.
Out there. But I think I'd be even better.
You are.
Which brings us to question 18.
Man.
What does a perfect day look like for Lane?
Oh, weekend or weekday?
Pick. Doesn't matter.
What's a perfect day?
Shoot. You know, 3 appointments, breakfast, lunch, and afternoon, whether on the golf course or in the club, bar, whatever you want to call it. And no surprises. There's nothing good comes out of. There's no such thing as a happy surprise in business.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all surprises in business are quite unhappy.
It always breaks against you. So, a day of no surprises. How about that?
Okay, we'll go with that.
That would be the perfect day.
We'll go with that. If your life was a movie, which actor would play you?
Huh. Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I say he's
Like Clint Eastwood, like Western.
Well,
Clint
my
Eastwood, or
wife
Clint
swears
Eastwood, like
that-
Dirty Harry Clint Eastwood.
I'd say.
Yeah. Is there a time period Clint Eastwood you'd wanna?
Yeah.
I mean, because he's a little older than you.
Yeah. I'd say Outlaw Josie Wales. That era, Clint Eastwood. My wife swears that. That Gran Torino is like a documentary of me 4 years from now.
I could totally.
I can see that.
I could totally see that.
I can see that. Yeah. I could definitely see that. So if you could read minds, whose would you read?
Oh man.
And why would you want to read?
I'd say my wife's to make my life a lot simpler, but
I'm pretty sure when we did the 20 question
That is one of-
roundtable, that is what you said then too.
Yeah, that is actually one of the questions from a few of my favorite things, but that is.
It's consistent.
I think there's a pretty consistent with most of the married people at the panel that they would want to read their spouse's minds.
I just don't understand.
And last but not least, and this can be a longer formed answer if you'd like, or it could be a one-word answer.
Okay.
My name is, and I am a.
All right. The last time we did this, it was a little uncouth.
No.
No.
Was it uncouth? Was it?
Well, I said my name is Lane Boland, and I kill more shit than cancer.
So yes, it was uncouth podcasters out there. Yes, it was.
How do I say that diplomatically? No. My name is Lane Boland, and I won't quit.
Sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Lane Boland, and I'm really glad we had an opportunity to interview Lane. I knew that because of his occupation, he would have some interesting answers to these questions for you. And I hope you enjoyed our first round of